Sister convinced me to lend her money for a fake business, then told everyone I was the failure when it crashed. My sister, Clara, had always been the more charismatic one in the family. She could walk into any room and immediately become the center of attention. Growing up, I often found myself in her shadow, playing the role of the more reserved, sensible sibling. Clara, with her bold ideas and fearless attitude, always seemed destined for something greater. When she approached me with an opportunity to invest in her new business, I felt both excitement and apprehension. She had big plans and, as her sister, I wanted to believe in her. Clara's pitch was convincing. She had crafted a detailed plan for an online boutique selling unique, high-end fashion accessories. She claimed to have found a niche market and promised that with just a little help from me, we could get it off the ground and turn it into a lucrative venture. The amount she asked for was significant, enough to make me pause, but Clara assured me that it was a safe investment. She'd done her research, she said, and all she needed was a little startup capital to make it work. She even said she had buyers lined up and suppliers ready to go. I was skeptical at first, but Clara's enthusiasm was infectious. Despite my reservations, I agreed to lend her the money. After all, she was my sister, and I had always wanted to support her dreams. Besides, she painted such a vivid picture of success that it was hard to imagine the plan could fail. I wired her the money the next day. At first, everything seemed to be moving forward. Clara kept me updated with pictures of products, mock-ups of the website, and tales of meetings with potential clients. I began to relax, telling myself I had made the right choice. Weeks went by, and though the updates became less frequent, I trusted her when she said that things were progressing slowly but surely. Then, out of nowhere, the updates stopped altogether. Clara became evasive, dodging my calls and replying to texts with vague, one-word responses. Concerned, I pressed her for details. That's when the truth began to unravel. There was no online boutique. There were no suppliers, no buyers, and no carefully laid out plan. It had all been a facade, a ruse to get my money for her personal use. Clara had spent the money on extravagant shopping sprees, vacations, and even gambling. None of it went toward the supposed business. I was devastated. Not only had I lost a large sum of money, but I had been deceived by the one person I thought I could trust unconditionally. I confronted Clara, hoping for some kind of remorse, but instead, she brushed it off like it was no big deal. She even went so far as to blame me, saying that I knew the risks and that I shouldn't have expected her to do all the work. The betrayal cut deeper than I could have imagined. As if things couldn't get worse, Clara began spreading rumors about me to our family and mutual friends. She twisted the story, telling everyone that I had been the one to mess up the business, claiming that my poor decision-making had led to its failure. Overnight, I became the family disappointment, the sibling who couldn't handle a simple investment. People who once admired me for being the responsible one now whispered behind my back, judging me for what they believed was my failure. It was a nightmare. I had not only lost my money, but my reputation had been dragged through the mud by my own sister. My parents, while sympathetic, were unsure of whom to believe, and I could feel the tension at every family gathering. Clara, with her charm and ability to spin a story, had managed to manipulate the narrative, casting herself as the victim while I was left to pick up the pieces of a reputation I hadn't even damaged. For a long time, I felt angry, not just at Clara but at myself for believing her. I wondered how I could have been so naive, how I could have let her take advantage of me. But eventually, I realized that Clara's actions were a reflection of her own issues, not of my worth or intelligence. She had chosen to exploit my trust, and that was on her, not me. As difficult as it was, I began to move forward. I distanced myself from Clara, cutting ties with her until she could acknowledge the harm she had caused. It took time, but I worked hard to rebuild my reputation. I opened up to my family about the truth, even though it was painful, and slowly, they began to understand what had really happened. Friends who had doubted me at first started to come around as well, seeing Clara's true colors over time. I also made peace with the loss. While the money was significant, the bigger cost had been the damage to my trust. But from that, I learned valuable lessons about boundaries, about the importance of skepticism, and about protecting myself even from those I love. Clara may have tried to tear me down, but in the end, I emerged stronger, more self-assured, and more aware of my own resilience. Clara has since reached out, asking for forgiveness, but I've learned that forgiveness doesn't mean allowing someone back into your life to hurt you again. I'm still on my journey of healing, and while I've chosen to forgive her for my own peace, I've made it clear that she has lost my trust, a trust she may never regain.